Well, welcome to another episode of My Life in Football, and really pleased today to say that somebody I speak to on a regular basis is he's going to tell us all about his football career, and of course the one and only Welwyn Garden City manager Marc Weatherstone. Mark, it's great to have you with us today, and I suppose we'll start off as we normally do. Start off with the present, and we'll quickly go back, but. Welwyn Garden City, as we speak, is sitting here at sort of the end of March. It's going quite well, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, first of all, Dave, I appreciate you asking me to come on the show. It's a massive privilege because I know the guests you've had and the level of guests you've had. So thank you for inviting me onto the show. But yeah, Welwyn Garden City it's going well at the minute. I mean, we're pushing for a playoff spot. We're not there just yet. And like you say, we speak weekly. So you know how badly we started. So I'm just pleased to be in amongst it, really.
Yeah. I suppose realistically, I mean, with it, I mean, it's, as you said, still a chance of those sort of playoff places. Still quite a few games to go. Weather situation. The weather's still not brilliant as we know at this sort of time as well. So, as you say, still got a lot of games to go. Tough to get there, but slowly but surely easing your way towards those playoff spots.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, you've been around for a long time. I have as well, and stranger things have happened. So it's no guarantee that we're going to get the playoffs. We've got, as we talk today, we've got 3 or 4 games in hand, so it's in our hands. But I'm not naive to realise that things could easily go south, just like how we started the season. So we go one at a time, just trying to pick up as many points as we can to get us into those playoffs. But not going to be easy. We've got a hard run in, but hopefully, by the time this airs, we'll be nice to be promoted.
so Mark, I mean, for most of us, I mean, we sort of know you as, or I know you as a manager, so I'll learn stuff today as well. But I mean, where did young Mark first start in his football career? I mean, where did it all start for you?
Well, I think we go back 31 years ago. I started to kick a ball properly at 5 years old, all the way back to JVC Centre days. So the old Highbury. I was brought up around the corner from Arsenal, and they used to have a little centre just off of the Highbury called JVC Centre, and that's where I started just a weekly Saturday morning kicking the ball around. Remember it vividly at 5 years old. One of my only memories as a young kid, to be fair, just kicking the ball, wearing an Arsenal shirt on a little indoor Astro. And that's where I sort of my mum took me there. And that's where I first got my love for football, really. So yeah, we started off it's all like the basic ball skills for young kids. And then from there, just another contact took me into like a Sunday club. So I think I was just before 6 or 6 years old, went to a Sunday club called Tufnell Park. Really was quite a big Sunday league team. We won quite a lot of things. A lot of ex-pros was playing like a Ryan Smith, who played for Arsenal. I don't know if you remember, he played under Arsene Wenger. Sam OJ, who went to Barnet, unfortunately, he's passed away now. So these are the players that I used to play up a year above, who come from Tufnell Park. So big names who have been in the game, made it professionally. So so 6 years old, started training at Coram Field. This is all obviously in North London, around the Islington area. So yeah, from 6 years old, played Sunday football for this team, Tufnell Park. And it wasn't until I was about 7.5, move on to 8, where I got scouted for West Ham, which is a great privilege at such a young age. And without boring you, I was there for just over 8 years, a long time. Especially, I basically grew up at West Ham.
So how did that happen, Mark? How did you, all of a sudden you're playing sort of Sunday mornings for Tufnell Park, and all of a sudden you get this situation where, I mean, how old were you when West Ham came calling? And I mean, how young were you, and what was that feeling like for you and for your parents?
Yeah, so we play a lot of games at Market Road. Again, Joe Cole, a lot of big names in the game have been all played at Market Road. So just playing at Market Road, and there was a scout who's been watching me a couple of times. I didn't know if he had connections with the Sunday club or not, but it was just I remember he used to drive a Jaguar, a long Jaguar at the time. And don't ask me why I remember that, but that's one of the things I remember from the scout. So yeah, I was when he first made contact, it was just before my 8th birthday, if I remember rightly. And you never sort of believe it. I'm a young 7-year-old, naive, just enjoying my football with my mates in a sort of Sunday team. And then when a club like West Ham comes knocking, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they was in League One at the time, which was the old Championship. I could be wrong there. And yeah, it's amazing. You know, a club like West Ham, my old man, obviously my dad knew West Ham a lot better than I did, and he was proud and buzzing for me. It wasn't around the corner. Obviously, we trained at Chadwell Heath. I live in Islington, so it was a good hour and a half to get there. My mum and dad took me to all the sessions. We started off as a centre of excellence, and I was there for about 2-3 years before we turned into academy. So it was only training as a centre of excellence, only travelling once or twice a week in the evening. So it was big pressure on my parents, but like a lot of players, their parents do slog around the world, if you like, or the UK for their kids. So I was very appreciative. Even looking back now, it's a hard. As you know, I've got a young daughter, and you do anything for them, so I understand where my parents come from. But yeah, I was a young, like an old 7-year-old, a young 8-year-old, just loving my football. I was a defender. When I first started, I didn't know what position I was. And I'll get onto a story when I joined West Ham. I played multiple positions to find out what my exact position was. But no, I was delighted. You know, I was just this boy who played Sunday football. Now West Ham come knocking. I didn't give up my Sunday football straight away, although they wanted you to. I carried on playing just because it was my mates, and I love playing football. I could play football Monday to Sunday. So yeah, I mean, at that time, I was actually swimming as well. I had a big sort of, I say, swimming career. And it got to a stage where it was either swimming or football I had to choose. So obviously, I went twice a week to West Ham. I was swimming 3 or 4 times a week. Time called Swiss Cottage. So I was pretty decent at swimming. I went to the nationals. So it got to a stage where I got a little bit older, where it was a choice. And if I'm honest with you, it was never a choice in my head. It was always football. You know, when you're good at something, you have to choose what could I go further in. And yeah, I'm pleased. I didn't look back, and I don't look back, and no regrets. Football was the one for me. So yeah, so West Ham, that was me, and that was the start of my a long pathway to understanding and learning and developing in football.
So what was that like though? Going, you're going into West Ham. How different was that sort of like training regime and playing games than it was from just playing with your mates on a Sunday morning?
Yeah, if I'm honest with you, when like I say, we was a centre of excellence, so it wasn't as strict as an academy. So, like I say, we trained once or twice. We didn't always have a game. It was like at the time, if I remember rightly, it was you might play a game every 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. I remember playing Stevenage, and they put me up front. As you know, in my non-league days, I ended up being a centre half, and I was doing all right. I scored a good goal up front, but eventually they see something in maybe my technical ability. At that time, they thought, no, I'll be better as a defender. So then I moved back to centre half, then went to a right back. So I was right back at West Ham. But no, listen, the feeling was great. You're playing with players who are maybe a little bit a level above our Sunday League team, you know, without sounding too harsh, because we're a good Sunday team, good young lads. But you go into a team where they've all been scouted now for a reason. So you're in this sort of, if you like, elite 8-year-old level. And I've always believed I've had a bit of a good head on my shoulders. I always knew the surround I was in. So I always tried knuckling down and wanted to be the best in my age group. And I was just proud to be there. I was, if I'm honest with you, I had a confidence at a young age. And I think maybe that's from my parents, from the coaches, but I always thought I was going to be good enough. And yeah, and West Ham, for me, it was just a great journey, a great academy, great setup, great people, really lovely. And to this day, they're very close to me, West Ham. Yeah, so which is a really, really proud moment for me. And I love joining them. You know, it didn't matter how far it was for me. It was the right club and good setup for me.
Was you still allowed to play for your Sunday team as well, or was it just you'd left the Sunday team and just went playing with West Ham?
First of all, I was, like I say, as a centre of excellence, they didn't mention anything. As soon as we went into academy, they sort of said, you're not ahead. I didn't straight away. How can you, like I said, I'm now 2-3 years down the line into West Ham, and 2-3 years down the line with the Sunday team, who I've grew up with. The same coach was a coach from when I first joined. I didn't want to just throw that in. Listen, even my parents said, you don't know how this journey at West Ham's going to last.
Yeah.
It could be another year, and you're just throwing away your friends and sort of ditching them. So it wasn't a case. I enjoyed it so much. I love playing football. So it didn't interfere with West Ham. But I get West Ham was just worried in case you get injuries. It's never even skiing. I was never allowed to go skiing, and I've never been skiing. It looks amazing, but you've always been told you can't do the section. I think I was a young lad, I'm moving on to now 10, 11 years old now, and I just want to play football every day. And they're telling you can't play with your friends. And I just think I wasn't happy to do that straight away. I think it took me 6 months to then really actually think, right, listen, if you're going to take this seriously as West Ham opportunity, you've got to listen to them. And if you do get injured for playing Sunday, they're not going to be happy, and it could lead to a releasing you. So in the end, it was hard. It was difficult. I know my parents spoke to the coach at the time. I'm an 11-year-old kid. What do you say to the coach? And he understood it. And that was the end of sort of the Sunday league. Did I go back occasionally? Yes. But that was I took West Ham very seriously, hoping it would lead on to something.
So how long with the West Ham situation? I mean, how long was you at West Ham for?
Just over 8 years. So I joined just before I was 8 years old, left at 16. I always said to myself, I never have any regrets in football or in life. As I look back, I spoke to my old man maybe a few months ago. I think the regrets I have is I left West Ham. For the 7 out of the 8 years, I felt developed. I was developing it. They really liked it. We had like Tony Carr, who's a big person at West Ham, who had my back, was helping me. Every coach, even Steve Castle. I think I had Steve Castle under 14s, who's the joint manager at Royston Town. I always had that development help and feedback and helping to improve. Got to the under 16s, and I had this coach called Colin Reid, stayed in my head. And I didn't feel like I was developing, and I needed to. I was there a long time. I was a part of the furniture, and I didn't think I was getting a fair share of games. Wasn't getting the feedback I would do from under 15s down. So at the time, I had a couple of Crystal Palace, Norwich interested me at the time, and I thought if I got offered a YTS or I didn't at the time, I thought rather than waiting, I'll go to another club. Wrong decision, if I'm honest with Dave, because I left thinking that I'll just go to Norwich, Crystal Palace, who made contact and interest. The moment I left the doors, I remember crying my eyes out. Because remember, I'm an 8-year-old kid, even at 16, all I've really known, brought up with, cried my eyes out, got home, and I said, Mum, Dad, football's not for me. Because it's the feeling I had, the feeling of leaving the football club. I suppose it would have been worse, probably the feeling if I got released, not being wanted. So in one way, I'm glad it was on my terms, but I left feeling, no, I'm not. I don't feel this football life. It's not for me if this is the feeling. So from leaving them at 16, I went into air conditioning. Did some air conditioning. My parents said, if you're not going to pursue this football, you've got to get a trade or get a job or think about what your future holds. Went into air conditioning. Honestly, Dave, did an apprenticeship, lasted 3, possibly 4 months. I remember being on Great Portland Street, top of the building, again, crying my eyes out. I'm not an emotional person, but by the way, but I've said 2 things that I was crying my eyes out. So I was doing air conditioning and crying my eyes out, thinking this ain't for me, but I need to get back in football. And this is 3, 4 months after leaving. But again, when you turn down teams 3, 4 months later, then that Norwich and Crystal Palace weren't there just to walk back into. So went in the air conditioning, like I say, left out after 4 months, wasn't for me. Joined Luton Town. Went to Luton. Mark Ridgway was a coach who I knew from my Sunday team. Just totally unfit, Dave. Honestly, I'm going into a team of 16-year-olds who were fit as anything. It was right near the Luton Stadium. I remember it was like an L-shaped field that we was running around. And we did about 10 laps in this field. After about 8 laps, I'm hiding around the corner to try and get a breather and waiting for them to come round. Worst thing for me is that the coach blew early and they're all waiting for me. And I'm hiding around the corner just waiting for them to come around again, which was a bit of a stitch up. But from that session, I thought, you know what, I can't, because I knew this Mark Ridgewell, my parents did from tough enough. I said, I can't stitch him up and think, I'm nowhere near it. So I thought, it wasn't for me, Luton. So I sort of walked away thinking, probably bad, you know what, but a bit of a bad attitude looking at it, thinking, why walk around? Why walk away? Just keep cracking on. But that was that. So I went to Dagenham Redbridge. And I'm pleased I did, to be fair. I went to Dagenham Redbridge under 18 to now. I'm 17 years old now. Ricky Stubbs, who is the coach at Brighton at the minute. Ricky Stubbs, I knew him from West Ham days. He was at Dagenham Redbridge, and he invited me over to the under 18s. Went to under 18s for one session. The manager there said, no, you're too good for the 18s, go to the 23s, or the reserves at the time, sorry. Rob Garvey, his name was, the reserve manager. So I went to the reserves for about 6 months, travelling to Dagenham. Again, a bit of a slap from Islington at the time, and was there for 6 months, and then joined the first team under John Steele. I was with the first team for 3 years. Probably the best experience. It turned me into a man, Dave, to be fair. That's what turned me into a man, when you got the likes of Damon Rainford, who was the captain at the time. Anwar Uddin, again, was the captain there, and he was actually my car share, Anwar Uddin. Sam Sloman, these are big characters in football. And when I was a 17-year-old, timid, small, I was really small at the time. I didn't really shoot up to, I'm 6'1" now, I didn't shoot up to about 19, 20. And I had these characters around me where you had to be a man, you had to fend for yourself, and you see things in the change room. And this is why I say to these youngsters now, just come and be around the change room, even if you're 17th man, even if you're not in the squad, just see how life is in the change room, because it turned me. I was surprised by what I see in terms of if things weren't going right, they'll not turn on each other, but they'll scrap in the change room, or they'll swear at each other. I can't say too much in here in terms of, but you've got to be a man in this surrounding, and you got to stick up for yourself. And I learned quite a lot, and it was a very, very good 3 years of me training full time, had Wednesdays off. So I was training. I got a coaching job, which I'm still part of the company now, to be fair. So as a 17-year-old, I was obviously training 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock in the morning. Had nothing in the afternoon, so that's when I joined a coaching firm. But yeah, to be fair, it was probably the best 3 years of my football career. I loved West Ham, don't get me wrong, but I was a kid. I was a kid for the 8 years, loved it. Taught me everything I know about football. I'm a manager that likes to play football. That's the way I want to play. And that is through that's my upbringing at West Ham. Loved my West Ham days, but as a man, the 3 years at Dagenham really taught me a lot. And then we got promoted for Dagenham. I was obviously in around the squad quite a lot, which again was a proud moment for my parents. Could never get in front of Danny Foster, who was a good right back, really excellent fullback. Could never get in front of him, but they got promoted from the Conference to League Two. Then John still gave me my marching orders. Got obviously a bit more money in the club, so while they have me in there, and that's when I joined Wingate, which goes into my non-league career really. I suppose Conference League was non-league, but it was full time. So, yeah.
What was your debut though for Dagenham?
Say again, sorry.
What was your debut for Dagenham?
In a cup game. In a cup game, I think we played Great Wakering Rovers in a cup game. It was a first team game. But other than that, it was all off the bench. Great Wakering Rovers was my first one, and a couple of first teamers, but it was mainly obviously the youngsters playing in it really. But no, yeah, listen, really, really good time, and like I said, I learned more just being around it than I did actually. Well, I didn't need to play. I was learning quite a lot, and training was good. You had Harris. I can't remember his first name. Harris, who's at Dulwich now as assistant. Well, I can't remember his first name, but Harris, he's under Hacks at Dulwich now. So good, decent coaches, really good coaches. Horrible coaches. Like I say, Rob Garver, who's the reserve team manager, and a coach of the first team. He was horrible, beasted you. Horrible guy, but he meant well. Like I say, you could not work hard or try hard under him, because he will dig you out. And like I say, that from a 17 to 20, I was there just to set me up nicely for moving into the non-league team. And going in there as a sort of 20, 21-year-old, but older head on me, just from my time at Dagenham.
So you went into Wingate? You say you went into Wingate and Finchley. What a difference, and what an iconic non-league ground Wingate and Finchley is. But I mean, you've gone from there. Were they used to be in Prem still then at the time when you?
No, there was this Division
North.
One North.
North.
And I went on a month loan to him. So before I left Dagenham, I went on a month loan to Wingate. So I knew him briefly beforehand, just for my time. But it was in Division One North. When I joined them on loan, and then when I joined them afterwards.
What sort of difference was that in to your mindset as well? You know, you're in there, you're playing sort of, you know, for Dagenham Redbridge in, you know, in the sort of like the, as we are now, the National League, and then you're going into playing sort of like, you know, 2 steps down, 3 steps down, going to play sort of step 4 football with Wingate and Finchley. What was you know, still a young man at 21, but I mean, so what was your mindset with your head like moving from sort of step 1 down to step 4?
Yeah, but listen, Dave, I'll be totally honest with you. My mindset was that I won't be here for too long. I wanted to get back climb the ladder again, you know. But I knew I needed that experience of men's football weekly, week in, week out. I enjoyed my month loan at Wingate, and but my mindset was always I'm only going to stay here for a maximum of a season, 1 year, and I want to be climbing the ladder back up to get into full time. I love full time football. It was great. It felt good, and then you go into part time football. Different size crowds, as you know, Wingate don't get many fans, but at Dagenham at the time we used to get 1,500, which is not massive, but as a 17-year-old to 20, that seems massive to me.
Yeah.
And so yeah, my mindset was it was never big time. You know, I was never went into Wingate as a big time Charlie. But my mindset was always I need to climb this ladder. I need to go play as high as I can again because I had that little bit of a taste for it. You know. So yes, and I mean. 10 years later at that football club, I didn't move on. It was a great club, you know. It was a real good club. It was they looked after you. Didn't have much money, resources was poor, but they looked after you in terms of off the field. They'd always good people, just really good people in there, and good group of lads. You know, there's people I still talk to now who I first played with. I mean, Amit Rifat, he's the manager at Wingate now, and he's there when I joined. Wingate has always been a club that didn't pay much, but people stayed for a long period of time. You know, it's like Dave. You hear a lot of stories as everyone plays for money, and back then there wasn't a lot of money in the game, but we were still on less than most, and we just played on a carpet of a pitch, and then you got looked after with nice tracksuits, all that equipment. So the stuff that off away from wages, you got at Wingate, you know.
And as you say, you know, the pitch it's an iconic little stadium because it's got a sort of like very quaint, shall we say, dressing rooms, and then you've got to be really careful when you come out of the dressing rooms because you could get run over by the cars going in the car park, and then you go across that and then go onto a pitch that he's probably got to be up there with Wembley, and I mean the pitch service up there he's at Wingate he's incredible. But what was your debut for Wingate? You know, on your loan? Can you remember?
Couldn't even tell you, Dave. Honestly, it's couldn't even tell my first game on my loan, or even when I first joined them, what our first game was of the season. No, that's a $1 million question, Dave. To be fair, and so I couldn't even. I remember. I'm not really great with timescales, you know, in terms of what year it was and who it was. There's odd games that I remember, like the playoff games, and when we lost to Enfield 3-2 in the Division One North, and the year before we did eventually got promoted. But I remember them games.
So talk to us about some of these iconic games then. I mean, you say you played Enfield, and if I'm right in saying, I think, and this is why I want to bring this one up. I think that was my first year in non-league football. Was right. Actually the year that Enfield got up into step 3, and I'm sure that was. So I mean, talk to us a little bit about about that game then. You say playoff final.
Semi-final. That was semi-final at Summers Lane. Lost 3-2. We had chance after chance. I remember I was playing right back at that time, and first 10 minutes I hit the crossbar. It was 0-0, hit the crossbar. That's obviously what stands out. And you score that, you might go on and win it. And then Enfield got their first goal when me and this centre half called Craig Ellis, we collided into each other, both going for the same ball. And then obviously it landed one of the Enfield players who slotted it in. I believe they went 2-0 up, and then we come back to 2-2, 3-2, and then at 3-2 we had a lot of chances. We could easily won it 4-3, chance after chance. Enfield's back against the walls, but they see the game out, and they got to the final.
What are those games like to play in, from a player's point of view? Because I've been there with, with Harlow, 3 or 4 times losing and then finally winning it. And those games were, I know some people always turn around and say they'd rather go straight up, but those playoff games and winning the playoffs is something else, isn't it?
It's the best. You know what? I've never won a league, so I can never tell you the difference. There'll be clubs that have won the league by, say, early April, who have run away with the league, and you sort of just see at the end of the season. I don't feel like there'll be the end of the season buzz as a playoff final gets you. So I can't comment how it feels to win the league, but it's the best feeling knowing that you won a playoff final. I mean, I've had it twice in my career, which is I'm grateful and proud of, because some players don't get any under their belt. Like I say, it was great for Wingate when we finally got up. But talking about when I played for Dulwich and that playoff final against Hendon, when you had 3,000 fans, and at Tooting, which was our home ground at the time, everything was against us. There is no better feeling than in life. I'm gonna say in life, because I love football. There's no better feeling other than my daughter being born that football gives you when you're in a playoff final, when that final whistle goes. It's just because you work so hard for the whole season for that moment, So like I can't compare it to winning the league, but I can't see it being a better feeling than winning a playoff final.
Did you just say that because your wife walked into the room?
Just in case she's listening, yeah.
But
you notice I didn't say when I got married. She'll pull me on. She'll pull me on 100%.
but I mean that season, and how do you get over as a player? How do you, and some people say different things, but you're in that sort of semi-final position. I don't know what position you finished in the league. I'm assuming you were higher in the league than Enfield as well. So, how do you, as a team and as a club, get over that to go again the following year?
Yeah, it's difficult because we're still young boys, young men in the game, and you feel like your life's over, and that's how even now, even when you lose a game, it's the worst feeling. But you feel like, as I said earlier, just all that effort you put in for this one game where it means so much. Or I say 2 games in the semi-final, but it means so much. So you're thinking, how can you better that? But with Wingate, like I said, we've been renowned for having loyal players. So we knew we would stick together. And to be fair, if I'm honest with you, the next season we had a similar squad. A lot of players stayed added to it. And if I'm being totally honest, in December, me, I think Danny Nielsen at the time, we sort of wrote off the season, Dave. We were struggling. We had no right in getting anywhere in the playoffs. We was miles off it. Turn of the new year, we went on this crazy run that got us in the playoffs and eventually got promoted. But I think that togetherness, that experience that you go through the year before would help you as a squad. I truly believe that if you stay together as a unit, you do improve. There's a lot of managers chop and change players. It hasn't gone right this season, so we're getting a whole new squad in, and it takes time to gel. I think you've got to stick with the players, and we knew each other's game inside out. And like I said, we had a difficult start to that season. But the togetherness, like I said, we still got a group now. We call it a treble winning group. All the boys are in the group, and we try and meet up as much as we can. And that's the unity we had. Camaraderie was massive. With loads of social nights, and it was just a family. I know it's cliche, but we had from, like I say, turn of the year, we went on a crazy run and got in the playoffs. And
who did you play in the playoffs that year?
We played Harlow in semis. We beat them 4-1, and then we played Brentwood in the final, and then we scored in that 118th minute, Lewis Jones, to win 2-1. And that 118th minute, when you play 90 minutes and you're going for extra time, I remember just turning to that Danny Nielsen at the time. He was right back at centre half, and we just fell to our knees and looked at each other because we've been playing together for a long period of time. And the moment you get promoted and it goes in, we're forever grateful for Lewis Jones, that's for sure.
So the following season from that, then you go into step 3. I mean, did you stay with Wingate and Finchley then, or was you still with them going into step 3?
Yeah, stayed step 3, and this one of the games I remember we played Hastings away, and we beat them 1-0. Like I said, we're going into an unknown. No one knows us. We're a small Wingate, and Hastings Way were our first game. We won 1-0, and yeah, I stayed for a long period of time, Dave. Like I said, overall, I stayed for 10 years. Become the record appearance holder until Armit obviously took over. I think a year later when I left to go to Dulwich and then Enfield. But yeah, stayed at Wingate for a long period of time. At step 3, and then we obviously they're still there now. Step 3 status. So they never really looked back and kept. It was always a team that was between mid-table to the bottom. That was what our resources allowed. I think the expectations from the chairman to the manager was always stay up. I feel like we always, apart from 1 year, we got a reprieve. Other than that, we was always quite safe.
It always seemed to me with Wingate, they were always one of these teams where you thought, sort of halfway through the season, they're going to go down. This is the year they're going to go down. And then that somebody would pull something out of the hat. And then, as you said, we finish sort of mid-table or somewhere around there. And of course, this year, is a great chance. It could be even step 2 football for them next year.
Unbelievable. Yeah, really, really good. And hopefully they do it. I really hope that they're a massive part of my life, Wingate, and I've got a massive respect for them. As you know, I was manager there for under 18 months. We won't go into too much. I don't know if you want to know about the managerial side.
We'll go into that later on.
I
mean, you're in Wingate and Finchley, as you say, for 10 years. What made you then move? Because this is where I first heard of yourself. When you was wearing the colours of Dulwich Hamlet. So, I mean, where did that come from then? What made you move from a club that you've been sort of 10 years at and go to? Was it because they didn't give you a testimonial?
I'm still knocking on the chairman's door for that. No, you know what it was? I've had a few offers to Wingate, but it was round the corner from where I lived. Like I say, it was a great club. They looked after me, great people, and I never played for money. I've never been this one that plays for money. Although some people would say I left to go to Dulwich because of the money. For me, it was a case of I looked at my career and I thought, oh, we won a treble for Wingate. And then step 3 was always mid-table would be great, finish mid-table or a little bit higher. And I thought, when Dulwich come knocking, I just thought, it's an opportunity to go out to win more silverware and to have a bit more behind me. For the years, from 5 years old, 6 years old, when I first kicked the ball from like at JVC Centre, I thought, can I look back on my whole football career and how much have I won? What have I done? Was I just happy being at one club, just being happy being mid-table at best? And I thought at that time, I thought Dulwich a massive, massive club. Of course, the money followed for sure. That was one of the factors for sure. It was nice, but for me, it was a massive club, massive fan base with a massive ambition to crack on and get promotion. So for me, it was a very, very hard decision. I'm not going to sit and lie. But a decision I made in the end to join, and probably one I never regret, because it was, again, in my non-league time, probably the best 2 years of my non-league career.
I mean, and that must have been strange as well. You spoke about crowds and stuff before, sort of down at Dagenham and Redbridge, but you go from sort of, and this is no disrespect to Wingate and Finchley, but from a smaller fan base every week, and then you go the next season, you're playing for Dulwich Hamlet, and it's crazy down there, isn't it? I mean, you see the figures that come down to some of the attendances of 2,000 and late thousands and all the rest of it. That must have been a bit of a, not necessarily an eye-opener because you probably played them, but to actually play in front of that week in, week out must have been something else as well.
The best, it's great, and it gives you that extra 5-10%, just a bit of a buzz on match day when you got all those fans cheering your name. I had a few songs, which was nice. I become one of the fan favourites straight away, which is always nice to have them back at you. So yeah, listen, Wingate used to get 100 fans, but there was great fans as well. There's always really good, close people. Out of the 1,000 people, Dulwich, you only need a handful that you spoke to and you got close to. It's hard to get close to 1,000 fans. So at Wingate, you got really close to them all, and it was a really family based club. And then Dulwich, like I say, but when you walk through out on the pitch and you got those, I think when I first joined, there was only about 1,000. I say only, but 1,000, 1,200 fans on a regular basis, and over the season, it got bigger and bigger. And then I think the second season, like I say, we ended up with 3,000 on a regular basis near the end of the season. So that's that's massive. You know, you don't get that often in non-league, and it's something that I did miss leaving Dulwich. But a hell of a club, great people again. It was just, I was living in Islington. In fact, the second season I moved to where I am now in Cheshunt. Just the journey was horrible. You know, I work in Stanmore. It was hard. Every home game was away for me. You know, just in terms of the traveling I was doing. But what experience? What a club, really good in that, and I'm pleased they're doing. I mean, they got relegated last year, but they're doing okay in the run Premier now.
What was it like? You know, can you remember any sort of standout games? You know, from there. I mean, as you said, I think you mentioned it earlier on. The one standout game for me was the Hendon game in the playoff final, because I think it was probably one of the biggest, well, one of the first non-league games I actually saw on YouTube. You know, because it was live. I think it was broadcast live that day, and the atmosphere there just looks unbelievable.
The playoff final week, it was class, and I say that from a bitter side of me, because I played 105 games in 2 seasons for Dulwich, and I played in the semi-final, kept a clean sheet, 1-0 against Leiston Town, and Gavin Rose put me on the bench for the playoff final, and I have utmost respect for Gavin. I think he's been one of my favourite managers in my career. So I will never say he's made a decision to put me on the bench, and I will respect that as a manager now. I understand. But God, I didn't play after all. But I didn't play. But I knew I gave a massive account for that season, and the feeling when Dippo scored the final penalty, because it went to penalties. Just a relief running onto the pitch, all the fans, they was picking me up. It just. I would never be sulking. Like I say, I played 40 odd games that season, and I played a massive part of it. But the relief, and because I know that the club had been trying to, for about 4 or 5 years, trying to get out of that. I mean, the first season I joined, and we lost to Bognor in the playoff final, which again was devastating. And the next season, that's when, before I come, they lost in it, and then playoff semi-final, I believe. So there was always there or thereabouts, and fouled, and I was pleased for the club, pleased for Gavin Rose. He deserved it, and again, another accolade to add to my trophy, which was really nice, you know.
So did you not get on at all then in the final?
No, I didn't get on, and it's funny because obviously I was the captain of the club. We had Kenny Beanie was vice captain as well. And we were both on the bench, and it was a strange one. We played a lot of games together, and you know what? It was 0-0 in the game, and we went to penalties. Who's to say if me and Beanie played, we would have won the game in the 90s, or we could have lost the game. So we won the game, so we have to say it's the right decision from Gavin Rose to leave us on the bench. That's how I look at it, and that's how I'll carry on sleeping at night.
I mean, so as a player though, and I'll be very interested, even if the thought process came into your mind, because I know every time I see a penalty shootout on the TV, the first thing that comes to my mind is, thank Christ that, you know, I'd be wanting to be taken off at about 119 minutes, 100 minutes. If I was a sub, I wouldn't want to come on the pitch. Was there any feelings from you at that time? But, you know, getting closer and closer to the end of sort of extra time, are you thinking to yourself, Gav, please don't put me on. Please don't put me on. Or would you have relished that situation?
If I'm honest with you, if he put me on, he wouldn't have put me on to score a penalty. We had too much class in the team. Our attacking players was unbelievable. So I would have been number 7, 8 down the line to take it. I would have taken one. Wouldn't have been a problem. But I know that there's some talented boys in that squad we had who would be 100% in front of me to take them. So yeah, I'm pleased I wasn't put in that situation, because I don't know how I would have reacted. But if I was, I would have put my hand up for front 5 for sure.
And that would have been, so you know, the final there, you said Gavin against Gary. I mean, it was you got sort of 2 sort of legends of non-league football when it comes to management there up against each other.
Exactly, and well, I was about to say, and this year as well, but after Gary's with Billericay this year. But yeah, they're two experienced managers who went toe to toe, and it was a thrilling game. To be fair, it was a really good game. Hendon was a strong outfit that season, and that season we had Billericay. You know, Billericay got over 100 points. We got over 100 points, and we didn't win the league. It was crazy. And my assistant manager, Josh Urquhart, now he was the one who played for Billericay at the time, and it was amazing how we got 100 odd points and we didn't go up. We tried catching Billericay, but that was a team when you had obviously Konjeski, Pennant, you know, all these ex pros playing them. So good team Billericay had. But no, Hendon pushed us the whole way in that final, and just pleased we got got out on top.
So to go into sort of into step two, was you still with the side going into step two?
No, so for me, it was always a case. I spoke to a couple of players, and it was always with my career at work and the travelling. For me, it was always a stop then. We went for a meeting with Gavin Rose, and I've been very honest with Gavin throughout the season, and we sat together and I said, listen, I can't do the travelling no more. I'd rather leave on a high than go into step two disheartened by it, not really giving a full, because I couldn't do it from Cheshunt to Dulwich. My workload got loads more. It was more important. My job role got free. So we shook hands, and like I say, I didn't I don't have no regrets in not going to step two with Dulwich. I knew it was frustrating that last season because we were playing at Tooting, so it was even further than Dulwich.
Yeah.
So obviously, I don't know if you remember, but we obviously got kicked out of our ground, which made the season even more remarkable. You know, we were playing at Tooting, ground share with them, and that was our home pitch. And yeah, that was honestly, Dave, that was a horrible journey. You go to training twice a week. They also had a morning session that I could try and get out of work. I could try and get there, but I was driving, just losing my head every training session and trying to put on a face. Being one of the senior players, trying to put a face in it, the training, and yeah, that was enough for me. To be fair, 2 years was enough, and I just thought Conference South travelling would have just knocked it out of me really. So yeah, we shook hands, and that's obviously when I joined the mighty Enfield Town that I know you're very close with.
So you turned up there. Who was the manager at Enfield Town at the time?
Andy Leese.
Oh, it was Andy, was it? Okay.
Yeah. Andy Leese got me in through Ed Thompson, so I knew Ed Thompson from my Dagenham days.
Quality goalkeeper.
Yeah, unbelievable. I'm real, and just shame with his injuries really. Really nice, even better lad, to be fair. Really like him. So joined Enfield under Andy Leese, and I was there for 2.5 years, but obviously COVID restricted me to about 50 odd games in the end over 2.5 years, which was annoying. But again, when I was at Wingate, Dave, we had I was very much a player that I was like a Patrick Vieira, Roy Keane type in terms of mentality. In terms of when we played Enfield, they were our rivals. I couldn't stand them. I had to get my fixated in terms of right. I can't stand Enfield. Got to beat him. I had to get in the mindset of hating him, even Hendon at the time. And there's a few things going on with Enfield and Wingate at the time in terms of just a few things from the crowd and what's been said. And so there's a bit of a rivalry pumped up, and I didn't like Enfield basically. And there was a rivals, and so it should be like that. So going to Enfield was a bit of a big thing for me, being a club legend at Wingate for 10 years and then signing for Enfield. It wasn't maybe not taken too well, but we didn't have many fans to put on social media to say I'm scum or I'm all Judas, all this sort of stuff. But I know the chairman at Wingate wasn't too pleased with that decision. But listen, again, Enfield at the time, they was pushing for player. Like obviously, when I joined them, their ambition was to get promoted. They wanted to get in step two, and I like the ambition, you know, and I play for ambition. I'm an ambitious person, so joined Enfield under Andy Leese. I think I played, my debut was against Potter's Bar, and I scored in the 89th minute against Potter's Bar away. Who scored the winning goal? Because I didn't say, there's a little in the time frame. I joined back Wingate after Dulwich just for a month or two in the season. Just in my head, I want to be a manager. I got to come to terms with thinking, right, if I go back to Wingate, that can be my pathway into management, possibly, because I've known the chairman for a long period of time. He knows my ambition in terms of going there. So I was there for Wingate, and that's obviously during the season. That's where Leesey come in, Andy Leese at Enfield, and it was a Tuesday night at Potter's Bar when I scored the winning goal in my debut, which is a great way to start your time at Enfield. But really, like I say, you know just as well as me, Dave. You know, it's a great club, great people behind the scenes. Fans are really good. I really like a good fan base, and I've not got a bad word to say Enfield. From when I was at Wingate, when I did dislike Enfield, to now. You know, I remember Neil, the kick man, when I first joined in. He goes, "Here's the CUNT. Here he is," because obviously just a dislike, and he you know how it was, and then we got to know each other, and we love each other. And Neil's unbelievable, best kick man I've worked with, other than my one at Welwyn Garden City now currently, I should say. It's important I throw that one out there. But a great club, and I thoroughly enjoyed my 2.5 years apart from the COVID season. I think we underachieved. If I'm honest with you, I think the squad we had, we should have made playoffs in both the season where we had 4 seasons with. So I enjoyed my time at Enfield. Just a shame we didn't get promoted or didn't get the playoffs. That was what I went there for.
Was that the last? Was that the sort of the last sort of part of your playing career before you went into management? Then.
Yeah. So Enfield. So I was actually signing another year extension on my contract I had at Enfield. So I said to Andy, yeah, listen, I'll sign, no problem for the following season. And if I'm honest with Dave, I was going into that season with a little bit of a niggle on my back, couldn't really shake it. I was worried that it could be coming to the end, but I'll be a fool not to sign the contract again and crack on, give it one last go or one last season. But since when I said to Andy I'll sign, obviously I didn't sign a dotted line. That's when the Wingate chairman called me in for a meeting regarding the managerial position. And honestly, for me, if I didn't take it then the opportunity might not have arose again. So I phoned Andy and just said to him, listen, this opportunity's come on. I didn't think twice, Dave, to be fair, because I knew managerial was where I wanted to go. I would have been 34 at the time, 33, 34. Knew this little niggle in my back wasn't right. But like I say, I couldn't turn the opportunity down of becoming a manager of a club that I've been involved with. And if I'm honest with you, I didn't expect it, to be fair, because like I say, the chairman wasn't too happy with me going to Enfield. But I think the idea of having myself and Armit, obviously the other club legend, together would have been great. And they both, and Aaron knew, the chairman knew, we both loved the club. So it was it was a good recipe, to be fair, me and Armit to lead the team. So I didn't think twice, and I joined Wingate as manager.
How did it go? Was it an easy transition? Was it something that was a bit more difficult than you thought?
Yeah, I've had many people ask that question. It was an easy transition because of my job. I manage men in my job. I've been a captain at every club I've been to, so I had that leadership quality already and respect, if you like, and that grew. So I felt, in terms of the actual basics of the manager's job, it was quite easy. What I didn't realise, and I soon got to hang with it, was the amount of work you had to do as a manager. You know, it's a full-time job in a part-time role. You never switch it off. And I quite like that, Dave. I'm like that at work. I never switch off. I like being busy. I'd rather be busy than not at all, because you get bored. And it went okay. I think what I've learned from my time at Wingate is that I tried doing everything. I tried doing absolutely everything. I tried doing the coaching, tried managing every staff member, tried managing the players, try talking to the kit man, try arranging friendlies. Everything I was doing, I did it myself, and I didn't lean on anyone. I've always had a bit of a trust issue in terms of, are they giving their 100% effort like I do? And if not, then I might as well do it. And that's how I think if someone can't do the job, I do it myself. But no, really, really good. I mean, listen, I love the time. Wingate got their own training facilities, which are a lot of non-league clubs do have. So we have in Barnet have a nice big grass pitch, nice big AstroTurf, 4G, really good facilities. And so it's a manager's dream, really, to join a club like that and have the resources behind you. Maybe not financially, but the resources in terms of training pitch. Because at Dulwich we didn't really have a training pitch. You know, we were training at Bromley at times. We had to train at other places. It was sort of mix and match. So it was nice to have a training facilities. And the first season went well. I hit expectations. Again, the chairman said between 14th and 18th would be good. I think we finished 14th, which I was really impressed with. My first season with Armit together. It was a learning curve for us all, and really, really happy. Really good squad I had. So I was really happy, and looking forward to moving into the second season. And yeah, went into the second season. It lasted 10 games. I didn't get a win in 10 games, but in those 10 games, I got some good draws against good opposition. My last game come at home against Hastings when we lost 4-1. It's quite ironic, really, because when I first got into step 3, we beat Hastings 1-0, which was a great fit-in. And then my last before I got a tic-tac was Hastings 4-1. And I remember vividly, they was unreal, Dave. They played a 4-4-2 in a way that I've never seen it play before. They had men all over. It's like they was playing with 16 players on the pitch. That was fantastic. Boys v men. And you had that feeling. I had that feeling that was my last game afterwards. And I look back and I think it was too soon. Though I'm not going to sit here. I'm not. Like I said, I understand the chairman's decision at the time. He's got a club to run. He was worried. But I think after 10 games, we're not even a third way through the season. I do felt like I had the ability to get us out of it, especially with a couple of good draws in that 10 games. So I think I was given the tic tac, and respect to the chairman. He said it out that it was a mutual decision. Have respect, and that's fantastic from him. And I've not got a bad word to say about Aaron. Really, really good person and good chairman. But I do think it was a little bit early. 10 games is a little bit too soon. But that's football, and it can be a cutthroat business. And Armit took over. And listen, who am I to say it was the wrong or right decision? Because they done well the rest of the season, and then this year they're in the playoffs. And I'm pleased that Aaron put his hand in his pocket a bit more and put a bit more money in the budget, which is good. And it just shows when you put a bit of money in it, look what can happen. And Armit's doing a fantastic job. And I don't know if you know Dave, but Armit's my friend outside work. Outside football. He was my usher at my wedding. He's a massive part of my life. So I'm just really proud of him, what he's doing at Wingate now. And there's no bitterness from me. He's just a good person who's doing really well at Wingate and a good club.
Do you think he thought your wedding day was bigger than you?
Yeah. I'm not sure. No comment.
I mean, with that, I mean, you say you got the tic tac from Wingate. What was next? Was there a period of time out of the game, or was you straight into another job?
So that come in October, and then. Listen, I needed to get back in football as quick as I can, and the Isthmian Prem is all I knew, apart from my early days at Division 1. But I was playing for 9 years, if you like, in the Isthmian Prem. So ideally, I wanted to stay in that, and I wanted to carry on being manager. I didn't really think about going back into playing football again. I had a couple of inquiries for sure, but for me, I was when you're not playing for a year and a half. Although I was a player manager at Wingate, I registered myself as a player. I think I played for about 15 minutes of the last game of the season in the first season. I always thought player manager was really difficult. If I can't set the standards I'm giving the lads and I can't keep them up myself, who am I to set standards if I can't keep them myself? So I never really played. And so after I get the tic tac, it didn't interest me to play football. That was it. I was manager. That's what I wanted to do. But I wanted to get back in it straight away. But there's opportunities. There's only at the time, 24 clubs or 22 clubs in the Premier Division at that time, and they'd all had a manager. So I knew I had to bide my time, but I needed to get back into it straight away. So that's when I went to WELWYN, I think, WELWYN Garden City, end of November, just to help out the current manager there. His assistant manager went to Dubai for a few weeks, so he asked me to come in just to tick over, get involved, keep active, which I loved my time. It was great just to get back on the training field, and there's a good group of lads there. It was just nice to keep my hands dirty and keep involved, keep active. So I was there from like I say, for end of November for a couple of weeks, and then that manager then got the job at Potter's Bar, and then when he went Potter's Bar, the club asked me if I wanted to take over at WELWYN Garden City. If I'm totally honest with you, Dave, it didn't interest me at the start. I was only there to help out. I had this ambition to stay in the Step 3 Roman Premier Division. I'm now training with a club in the Southern League, which I have no idea about. No club, very little. You know of clubs, but not much about them and the distances, the areas, or the clubs, the grounds. So I had zero knowledge, so it didn't really interest me at the start. And it took me a week or two to decide. You know what? My wife actually said it's a good opportunity, and at the time, my wife was pregnant. In fact, the funny story was, we gave birth on the 20th of December, and that was a Tuesday, and I wasn't going training. That was my first training session with the club, and I was going there, and it was only my best mate who told me, "Don't be an idiot. You stay with your wife," and that's my mindset. Football's always taken over my life, and I've only seen football. I love football that much that I was prepared to leave my wife, which is ridiculous, to go and do my first training session with WELWYN Garden City, the new job. But listen, there's no good time to take a job. My wife gave me the go ahead. Not that I'm under the thumb or anything, and I know you'll say I am for our weekly show. But my wife said, "You know what? You've got to take it, because again, you never know when the next opportunity arises." So I accepted the job. That Tuesday 20th fight passed over to Sammy Hatton, who was my only experienced players, because it ended up being a nightmare. But my coach wasn't even around. He had to go and do something, so I had no one. So one of the players had to take the session, and I joined in on Thursday, 2 days after my baby was born, and then just cracked on from then. I don't look back, Dave. It's a really good club, really good club, good board, good chairman, really different chairman to Wingate in every sense of the word. Not better, not worse. I won't say that, but he's a really good chairman, and someone I get on really great with. So, and we're doing good things now. So I'm pleased I took on a job. I do want to get back into step 3 and maybe higher. We'll see, and hopefully that will be Welling City. But I'm still learning, David. I'm a young manager. I'm 36. I've had a lot of experience in football, so I feel like I know the game of football, but I don't know the ins and outs. And I'm still learning my trade. And I don't think you ever stop learning to your 6 foot under. So that's from 5 to 36. A manager now still involved in football, and I can't see my life without football. My wife knows I'm a miserable git if I haven't got football in my life. And I think it's different because when I got sat from Wingate, I went and watched games in the stands. It's not the same feeling watching games to actually being involved in that team, because that, you might hear it from a lot of people, but that change room feeling there's like no other. You know, that change room banter, the camaraderie. There's a lot that goes on in that change room that no one sees. And football's has a special place in my heart with all the little experiences and stories that you have over the years. And I can't see myself coming out of football, mate, for a long time.
So how long have you been at Welling now then?
Will be a year and a half now. So I joined in December 22. So it'll be a year and a half, yeah. So halfway through the season. And then this is my first full season with the club. Yeah, so a year and a half.
So with it, I mean, I mean, I know you say the ambition is, to get into step 3, and who knows, where you'll be. You could be in the Southern League, you could be in the Isthmian League, and you could be anywhere as such. With a shake up again that's going to happen at the end of the year. But I mean, with it though, I mean, you've built the side slowly, haven't you? Sort of this year, and it seems to be, as we said right at the beginning of the conversation, it seems to be going in that right direction. I mean, is there things in the club, in the club, or in the that you've got the control of? Is there still stuff that you feel that you need to change and move and to get it to keep going in the right direction?
Yeah, there's a few things I don't really want to say on air in terms of, but what I will say is I'm in control of every part of the football side of aspects. Financial aspects, I stay away from that. That's the club and the board. The board support me, Dave. And there's a lot of talk outside of Welling how there's no ambition of the club to go up. I've not seen that. I can't comment on that, because all I can comment is what I've been told by that board, and then they back me fully. Even today, the chairman's messaged me about, now listen, we got to push these playoffs, and it's nice to hear that from the chairman, because all you hear from the outside is that the club don't want to go up and go up. Now, if we haven't got massive resources, it's well known. So it'd be nice to have a backing. We train a little bit of a smaller Astro. We haven't got a full width or full size Astro, so it's very hard to do some defensive work in it. But you make do with what you got. We are better off than most non-league clubs still with a training pitch. So I'm not going to moan about that. But if you go into step 3, these are little things you need just the extra percentages to win football games. But no, I've got control of a lot of things, and I can only praise my board. Honestly, they give me the reins, and fantastic. Honestly, they're really good people.
The last question before we let you get back to Peaky Blinders: what is what? I mean, in your career management and sort of plan, what has been your sort of favourite moment, and what has been the moment that you'd like to forget?
It's a great question, Dave, to be fair. I've had many good moments, and I've also had a moment in my head this year that it seems like a really good dream, and I hope it will come true. But I think the highlight is the 2 playoff final wins, more so the Dulwich one, just because of the surroundings and the change of stadiums and the crowd size, and I think that stands out massive. The Dulwich win, and also the Wingate playoff win. I think you can't beat them in football. So they're my highlights. They're definitely the highlights of my football career. And the low is probably, I think my first season as captain at Wingate, we got I say relegated, we got revoked. So I haven't got it on my CV. I've never had a relegation, which I'm buzzing about. But I got a little bit of stick from the players. My first season as captain, we got relegated. But like I say, I go back to them saying we didn't get relegated. So that is the low side. Always the stress and pressure that you've got to win games to stay up, and it's not coming. So that was a horrible stage of my life where relegation loomed. But for me, Dave, there's a lot more positive that outweigh the negatives in my football career, which is fantastic. And even when sometimes when you lose games, there's always positives to take from it. Sorry, that went off there, but a lot of positive. Dave, I could be all night telling you about the positives, even from a young kid when I scored at Upton Park for West Ham, playing against Wimbledon all the way through my adult life. And I love talking about football. I said to my wife about this show, and I just love talking about football, whether it be me or another team. Just football talk is. And my wife doesn't like football, so I can't even talk to her about football. She doesn't understand it.
So,
yeah. So it's nice to get on these shows with yourself, Dave, and talk about my career from 5 years old to 36. I love the sport. It will take a lot for me to walk away from it. They're my highlights of the playoff wins. Really, you can't get better than that. Really, in career. So I mean, like I said, I want to feel what a promotion feels like as a manager, and then so I can compare as a player to manager. I assume that being a manager, a promotion as a manager will greatly outweigh the player, because I can just feel it as a 3 points. When you, as a manager, winning the 3 points it's a massive excitement than it is as a player. You love getting 3 points as a player, but it's a different feeling as a manager. Because you work hard throughout the week to get those 3 points, and so I assume promotion as a manager will be a better feeling. So I'm looking forward to that moment it comes, because I believe in my ability. I think it will come in the future, hopefully this season. But let's wait and see.
Yeah. Well, listen, Mark, massive thank you for giving up your time today. Really appreciate you coming on the show, and we wish you and WELWYN Garnsey all the best for the season. Of course, this is filmed in March. You'll get to see it in May, June time, but hopefully by that time you may be into step 3. But we wish you all the very, very best with that, and a massive thank you again for coming on today. We'll be back with more My Life in Football throughout this off season, so stay tuned for more super guests on the show. If you've got anybody that wants to come on the show, give me a shout through Twitter, and we'll get them on the show and hear their story as well. But until next time, good night.